Hello, hello, and welcome back to The Sober Butterfly. I'm your host, Nadine Mulvina, and today we are joined with an extremely special guest. I'm so honored to have the incredible Kristen McAvoy here today. Kristen, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so honored and happy to have you here today. And I feel like we are in for such a treat because I want to get to know a bit more about you, Kristen, and learn a bit more about your story. You have an amazing presence on Instagram, and I feel like you're so inspirational and offer so many great tips and tools. And just like I think being so forthcoming about your experience and struggles with dual dependency or addiction when it comes to alcohol and Xanax, like that transparency is so needed. And I connect so much to everything that you share. You went from binge drinking in a sorority house to battling a full blown addiction to alcohol and Xanax to getting sober, relapsing, and then finally rebuilding your life. I'm so excited to talk more about your story. So, my first question for you, Kristen, is take us way back. Okay. So, you weren't drinking much in high school, but then you hit college, joined a sorority, and boom, kind of talk us through what that shift was like.
Yeah, so in high school, I really didn't drink that much. And pretty much when I got to college, I just was like, oh my gosh, I have all this freedom and I can go out whenever I want. And there's all these fun social things. And I just thought I was living the dream. I was drinking pretty much every day in college. I was a blackout drinker, so it was really scary from the beginning. I would black out all the time. I would fill up water bottles with just straight vodka and drink them before, to pregame before even going out. And then I would just continue drinking through the night and black out. I put myself in really dangerous situations a lot. I almost got kicked out of college for my drinking. I think at that time, since binge drinking was so accepted in college, I really was just able to kind of slide under the radar. Even when I was around other people who were heavily drinking, people would still call me out on my actions. Even in college, I kind of knew I had a problem, but there wasn't anyone telling me you need to stop drinking now. There were lots of red flags, lots of people telling me hey, what's going on? Hinting that I needed to drink less. But again, being in that party scene, I really just was able to take it and run with it. And I mean, sometimes it was funny, things I would do, and that kind of encouraged my behavior. Or I would get drunk and I would rap all the lyrics to Nicki Minaj and
Oh, I can
kind
tell
of
we're like in the same
being
age
the life of
group.
the party. And so it was kind of that was so much fun that I kind of would forget all the bad things I was doing, with drinking too much, blacking out, all my morals going out the window. Just there was a really, really dark side to it, but I would kind of mask it with the humor and fun that was happening because of it.
Yeah, that's so relatable. I too drank a lot, binge drank in college. And I think to your point, it feels like such a normal college
Yeah.
experience. Like it's a rite of passage almost. And I think like that freedom, that liberation, that sense of independence that you feel when you go away for school and then you're immersed in an ecosystem where other people are drinking, it just feels like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like the media, all of these portrayals of just like drunk, blackout college kids. But also something that I thought was really powerful that you mentioned is that this idea that even though others were also right alongside with you partying and drinking and pre-gaming and all the things, there was an extreme part of it. Like I also felt like within my subgroup of party friends, I was always the person that was probably pushing the edge further than anyone else. And I was always the kind of like the butt of the jokes. And oh my God, Nadine always has a story. Or I'd be in the group chat like last night, look at what Nadine did. I resonate a lot with this idea that I think from the very beginning, I knew that something was amiss. Like it was more than just fun, right? There was
Yeah.
always something else underneath the surface that may have been motivating me to behave a bit more outrageous than say some of my peers even. I think we can get to like, or we can maybe like think through what those reasons can be, but I would probably argue it was a culmination of many different factors that were leading me to drink excessively.
Mm.
So thank you for sharing all of that with us. And I think a lot of people, like I mentioned, can relate to that part. So then kind of walk us through. So this is college with alcohol. At what point did you start using prescription medication like Xanax? Like how did that enter the picture or the chat?
Like in high school, I had pretty bad social anxiety. Then when I went to college, I was kind of using alcohol to mask it. And I seriously like almost forgot that I had anxiety because
Wow.
I
Yeah.
was drinking every day. And in any social setting, I had that alcohol. And so it really just took away that like fear that I had around people and fear in social settings. And so I had kind of just like forgotten about my anxiety. Like I still had it some, but once I got into like the workplace is when it really started getting bad because I didn't want to, I didn't want to drink at work. And so I just felt really scared and unprepared and insecure. And so at work, I was having this like debilitating anxiety. Like I was having panic attacks. Like I would be like shaking and sweating and breaking out in hives. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like I'm trying to be this professional at work. And then I'm literally like having these anxiety attacks. And I kind of put on this facade where I would try to make myself, appear like dressed up and put together with my full face
Mm,
makeup on and my smile. And I'm like, okay, if I look good on the outside, like they won't know how I feel on the inside. But then when like I started breaking out in hives and like I'm shaking, I'm like, I can't hide these symptoms. What do I do? Like I was just so embarrassed. And so kind of how I coped with that was for years after work, I just had the ritual of going to the store on my lunch break or going to the store after work, getting that bottle of wine. As soon as I got off work at 5, I'd drive home and immediately open the bottle, drink by myself. After college, like I still drank socially, but this is when the relationship with alcohol started to change where I
mm,
really wanted to drink alone. I didn't want anybody to call me out on my actions and get those texts. Kristen did this. Like I just wanted to be alone. I wanted to drink as much as I want. And like I lived by myself when my drinking got really bad. And that did not help because I really could just get off, drink as much as I want in my apartment. Red wine was what I really struggled with.
same.
And I think I like kind of justified it. Like I'd be like, "Oh, like I'm just having red wine. Like this isn't a big deal." But then like my tolerance grew and like what I needed, that 2 glasses went to 3 glasses, went to finishing the whole bottle, went to opening another bottle after that. And it was just like this cycle of drink all night after work, wake up like deathly hungover. Like I would be literally like throwing up before work, so hungover, somehow force myself to get all ready and go. And I have no idea how I did that now because I would be hungover like multiple days a week. Like for years, I just repeated this
Same.
pattern. And it eventually got to the point where I was like, the alcohol isn't enough. Like, I'm using the alcohol to cope with the anxiety, but I am now like I'm just struggling to sit in it. And I had been working with the same doctor for like a really long time. And we had tried all of the like, SSRIs, like the Zoloft,
Hmm.
the Lexapro, all of that. And just none of it would work. Like just my panic was so bad that would just feel like I was taking nothing. And so she prescribed me to Xanax like as a last resort. And she warned me like this is addictive, like only take it as prescribed, like when you're having a panic attack. And at first I listened to that advice for like probably the first 6 months. And I thought it was helping. I thought, I had found this magic pill that was like solving all my problems and that I was no longer going to have this anxiety. But it ended up just being like a recipe for disaster because I all of a sudden started having this PTSD out of nowhere. And I had
Mm.
that pill bottle and I did not know what was happening. And it was like double panic, what I had already
Yeah.
been feeling. And so all the logic went out the window when I'm in that fight or flight mode of remember what your doctor said, this is addictive. Like, did not care. And so the more the panic started happening, the more I just kept reaching for the pill. And I think because it was prescribed, I felt like I was doing something innocent, but
Mhm.
and I think I was in such like desperation that I just like did not care about the consequences. And so I started taking it like way more than I should have. At this point, I would say I was still like functioning like on the outside looking in, like I was going to work every day, like I was paying my bills, I had my own home, I was going to church. Like it looked like I was being this productive person, but really I had like had this deep secret. And I think the Xanax, it was a problem from the very beginning because it kind of made me like into this person I always wanted to be. Like it took away all my fears, it took away my social anxiety, it took away my stress. It made me more outgoing. I could literally like give a whole presentation in front of a huge room and be like
Mhm.
totally calm, which is not me at all. Like it literally changed me. And so I I think I had in my head like I need this pill to perform at work. And it almost after a year of taking it and abusing it, it almost became, I don't know how this happened, but it became like an Adderall almost, where the
Okay.
first year it made me really tired, but then I started using it to perform, like
Oh.
for work, to do errands, to do anything. I felt like I needed it, and I think it was because it was such, like, a rush of dopamine that it just, like, it made me feel like I was, like, on this high, like, I could just do anything, and so I became super dependent on it for the anxiety and how it made me act and the productivity level it gave me, and eventually I started abusing it to the point where, like, I would run out of the prescription early. I would be, like, going through horrible withdrawal, like, calling
Mm.
the pharmacy so sick, like, being that girl trying to get the prescription early, calling my doctor in a panic. I was really afraid that I was gonna die from withdrawal because the Xanax withdrawal was
Wow.
so bad. Like, I would be sweating, shaking, like jolting out of my skin when I didn't have it. I never got that way with alcohol where I felt like if I didn't have it, I was like physically sick or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with Xanax, I did become like physically dependent on it. And it was really, really scary. And after like year two, it was like alcohol where my why can't I think of the word? My tolerance kept
Yeah.
building, and I had to keep going up and higher dosage and needing more pills. And like, I got to a place where it was just like, I would take so much Xanax, I would just like black out. It would erase my whole memory. I became like a totally different person. Like, my parents saw the changes, my work saw the changes, my friends were seeing the changes, and it just got really, really bad. Like, I just became a shell of a human. I was so depressed, so suicidal. Like, it just like, and it happened so fast. That was what scares me so much about it. Like,
Yeah.
someone tells me, "Oh, I'm taking Xanax, but I just take it now and then." And I'm like, just be so careful because I never in a million years thought that I would be someone who was addicted to prescription pills. Like, it happened so fast and I just did not expect it to happen the way it did.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all of that, Kristen. And I think, as mentioned, like the insidious nature of something like a prescription pill that is being monitored by a doctor that you're prescribed essentially, that's supposed to be help you, and not just supposed to help you, like you started in the beginning feeling like, oh, this is helping me with my productivity, it's minimizing my anxiety. That was so powerful when you said like you felt like you had become the version of self that you always dreamed of or aspired to be. But like, how long did that last, right? Before you started to see the long term impact of your using of the Xanax. And I'm curious to learn from you because I self medicated as well. I self medicated with alcohol, I self medicated with street drugs more so. I didn't have a prescription, but like my baseline was anytime I drank, I was looking for the next thing to get me to the next level, so to speak. I was also a blackout drinker. So I would love to learn from you like a couple of things. Like obviously when you are being prescribed a, I shouldn't say obviously, but for folks who don't know, when you're prescribed a controlled substance like Xanax, you have to have monthly meetings with a psychiatrist, correct?
No, I didn't.
Oh, no, you didn't. Maybe it's state by state. That's interesting. So, like, or maybe it's the time period, but like, I know, for example, in New York, like, if you have a controlled substance like Xanax that has more of like a higher rate of dependency, you have to like every single month meet with your psychiatrist to get that prescription renewed. And that may be a safeguard that they put into place because Xanax is such a highly addictive drug. But I guess my question for you, because I know that there were other people that were concerned and noticed the change in you. Before we get to that part, I just wanted to learn, what was your relationship like with alcohol at this time? Were you still drinking? Was that still a part of your ritual, or were you solely honed in or focused with Xanax?
No, so I was still drinking, and that's why it was so, like, scary and dangerous because I would take the Xanax, like, during the day at work, and then when I got home, I would drink the bottle of wine, and so it was like
I see.
I was just, like, constantly messed up, like, during the day, I'd be on Xanax, and as soon as I got home, I drank wine. Then
Okay.
it got to the point where I was so addicted to the Xanax that when I would wake up, if I didn't have it, I would literally, like, be crying and, like,
Wow.
want to cancel my whole day. Like, I felt like I could not even get out of bed to brush my teeth without it. I just became so dependent on it.
Yeah.
And since I was mixing it, like, with the alcohol, it was just so dangerous. I was like constantly blacked out, just constantly not remembering. And like the doctor who I eventually met with was like, yeah, the Xanax was literally just like erasing your memory.
Wow. So, a couple of follow ups here for you. You mentioned that your family was concerned, your coworkers noticed a change, I'm assuming friends as well.
Yeah.
Did you recognize the change in yourself, like the negative impact that Xanax and alcohol had in your life prior to other people pointing it out? Or did you experience other people voicing their concerns that triggered you to recognize that you had a problem?
I knew I had a problem, but in that state, I like was not in the right state of mind. And so I did not want to stop. Like I had no
Understood.
desire to stop. I think my anxiety felt so extreme that I was like, I don't know how to live a lifestyle like outside of this. Like my mom would be like, what are you going to do if like you eventually want to have a child? Like, and
Right.
she would bring up all these valid concerns. And I was just so focused on like that moment and anxiety I felt then that I was like, I don't care what happens to me. Like, I can't see a lifestyle outside of this. I can't stop. Like, can't imagine anything different. And so when people were starting to like address like that this is a becoming a big concern, I just kind of shoved all that out the window. I would try to act like I had it under control, and I was trying to I started because my parents were confronting me and I did not want to stop.
Mhm.
I started trying to moderate it like I was with
Mhm.
alcohol, and it was a huge fail. Like, we even did it where, like, I would give my parents the bottle and they would try to
Mhm.
manage it, but I eventually would come up with some manipulative thing to get it and have it under my control again. Like, I just became, like, super manipulating, which is not even, like, a characteristic of mine, but I just, like it was changing me so much that I when people were voicing their concerns, I just, like, didn't care until it was one night I would this is so embarrassing, like, when I had my old Instagram account where it was just, like, friends from high school, college, all of that, I would, like, get on my stories, like, so messed up.
Oh, girl, we've been there. Yes.
These were
Ugh.
so hard to watch back when I got sober, but I mean, I would be so messed up. I'm like, "What in the world am I doing?" And I'm just, like, talking, and my friends, like, saw me that night on there, and I guess it was, like, really bad, and so they called my parents, and they were like, "Hey, like, I think you need to get over to Kristen's apartment, like, she's really messed up." And I remember them just, like, my dad, like, I could hear him, like, running up the stairs, and
Mm.
he really was like, "Kristen, I, like, thought I was gonna find you dead. Like, your
Oh my
friends, the way they're, called me." And I remember just sitting there trying to act normal, like, I remember I was, like, pretending that I was working and just like, "What are you talking about?" Him, my mom, and sister, they were like, "We have got you scheduled to go to rehab in Florida if you want to go. We have everything set up. Literally, you can be on a plane tomorrow." And I think I did not really want to be sober, but I think I just knew, like, there's nowhere else to go from here.
Yeah.
Everyone wants me to stop. My friends wanted me to stop. Now my family is, like, telling me I need to go to rehab. And so I was just like, okay, I'll go. And I was not ready. Like, I drank the whole way there on the plane. When I got there, I just didn't take it seriously. I got into, like, this horrible rehab romance, and I just
Oh,
focused on that. Like, I was just trying to replace the
yes.
dopamine.
I've heard about the romance, the rehab
It
romances.
was terrible. And so, like, I didn't even finish, like, the full thing. I think I stayed for, like, 20 something days.
Okay.
And the problem was, like, the whole time my mindset was, okay, my parents.
Wait, can I ask you a quick question,
Oh,
Kristen? Was the rehab, was it comprehensive in the sense that it addressed alcohol and the Xanax?
comprehensive. So they
Okay.
were treating me for both, and they told me a lot of eye-opening stuff. Like, they were like, "If you
Mhm.
keep taking Xanax, like, the way you are, like, you're not gonna remember even your address in 10 years. Like, you."
Whoa.
Like, they basically told me, like, "You are," I mean, like, I was gonna have, like, early Alzheimer's, basically.
Yeah.
Still did not care.
Yeah.
I remember.
Because when you're sick, you're focused in on the here and now, and, like,
Yep.
the thing that's making you sick is also the thing that is helping you, right? Because as soon as you get the Xanax or as soon as you get the substance, you feel better, but then it's like this perpetual cycle to your point, so it's like, yeah, I hear all of that. I think that's so relatable because it's like, I'm listening to you, but I'm not really hearing you because I'm unwell right now and I need
Yes, and
my
that's
medicine.
exactly what was happening because when you take Xanax, you don't realize that when you don't have it, you become even more anxious, and so it's like double anxiety that you already felt, and
Mm,
so it's really not, it doesn't really help you. It really just keeps you literally so stuck in the
yeah,
anxiety. And so I remember, like, trying to sit in these meetings with people, and I was having, like, straight up panic attacks, and I was like, "I can't do this. Like, I
yeah,
literally can't do this." And so I think I got to a point where I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll just stop the Xanax, but I'm still gonna drink." So, like, the whole time I was there, I wasn't even in the mindset of, like, I'm gonna be sober. I just was like, "Okay, I was told to come here for Xanax, that's all, I'm gonna stop." And so, I remember, like, as soon as my dad picked me up at the airport, I had already ordered wine, like, the day I got out of
yeah,
rehab, like, it was so awful, and I remember I got back and I was, like, feeling even more depressed, and I think it's because I went to the rehab in Florida, and so, like, when I came
mm,
back to Virginia, it was like I had no resources, like, I didn't know how to go to a meeting, I didn't have any of those people I was with, have any of the doctors, the therapists. It was just, like, back to reality, and I just felt kind of even more sad, and I remember, though, it was, like, the night before I was supposed to go back to work, I was just like, "I cannot do this." Like, how embarrassing that I just went to rehab and now I'm gonna go back to work. And so I just, like, felt like I could not do it, and I made the mistake of, like, I left that communication open with my doctor, like, I did not close the door, and so that night, I already had, like, a refill ready, and so I just went and got it, like, I just could not handle the anxiety. I thought in my head, like, "Okay, I've been off Xanax for, like, 30 days now almost, like, I can moderate, I can manage it now." And it went even worse. I mean, I finished the whole bottle in like, I think like a couple of days. Like it was so bad. And I hit an even bigger rock bottom. And I remember I was at work and it was like the middle of the day. And this is where I was just like totally no longer functioning anymore. Like I barely remember being there. And I had taken a bunch of Xanax and drinking a bunch. And the rehab romance guy like broke it off with me. And I just like lost it. Like I
Mhm.
randomly left work in the middle of the day, went and got hammered. I didn't have my car because I had like lost my keys. And so these two men pulled up. I just got in the car with them. I had no idea who they were. And I turned my phone off during all this. And I had no idea that like my parents were looking for me with the police.
Oh,
And
wow.
then eventually those people took me back to my house. And thank goodness my parents were waiting right there in the parking lot. And they were so upset with me. And just like I think we're so scared because they're like you're putting your life in danger. But like
Mhm.
the scary thing was I used to do stuff like this all the time, like
Yeah.
for 10 years straight. I have no idea how something horrible didn't happen to me. Like I seriously am like God was like watching over me because I should be dead right now. Like I've woken up sleeping like in the middle of the road, like just anything you can think of. And so I'm just like, I
Mhm.
don't know how I'm here. Um, but basically, my parents were like, we have got you set up to go live in a recovery house here in Richmond. I didn't want to go, but I knew I had ran out of Xanax. I knew I was like going to go through horrible withdrawal. And so I was just like, okay, I'll go. Got really messed up before going, and my dad took me.
Mhm. That's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful because I know the aftermath. Like, I know how the story ends and is continuing as we live in this moment. It's never easy when you're confronted with making a change before you're ready.
Yes.
And even when other people are from the outside, it's super obvious, right? Like you're in a place where you need some help and support. And thankfully, you had God, you had your family, you had people in your corner supporting and uplifting you. But like you still had to do the heavy lifting. Like you still had to be the one that was like, I'm willing and able and ready to accept the help. And that part I think can be really hard if you're not ready, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. So it sounds like that was the positive change that you needed. Like you needed to have that like second, I don't want to call it a rock bottom per se because you didn't use that terminology, but you need to have that moment of, I
Yeah.
finished my
Yeah.
prescription
It was
and two
definitely a rock bottom.
okay, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
didn't want to say
it
it
was
for
a
sure.
rock bottom for sure.
It sounds like a rock bottom, but like I think I've had multiple rock bottoms, so I'm like I'm not sure if that was the rock bottom, but like definitely a low point, right? So I think when you see that, it's sort of like okay, like where do you go from here? And
Exactly. Yeah.
you kind of release control. Like that's the surrendering that so many people talk about, that serenity where it's just like, you know what? Like I've tried it my way. I don't have any other options. So let me try something else. And that's actually really beautiful that you had that was your rock bottom and you had a way out because your rock bottom could have been the end, right? Like that could have been just like I I can't go on like this and like that's it. So I'm so happy to hear that you did have another option. And so what was that process like for you when you went to live in the home, the recovery home?
So it was at first when I got there, it was very hard and kind of like a wake up call reality check. But it really was like the structure and discipline that I needed
Okay.
to get
Okay.
sober. Like when I was in rehab, it kind of felt more like I was on like this little vacation, whereas
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
more like, okay, like we're doing this, like we're waking up, we're working on ourselves, we're going to meetings, we're having a recovery coach, we're having an addiction therapist. Like it was like
Mhm.
full on, like we're getting sober.
Yeah.
But I needed
Yeah.
that. Like I needed somebody to literally hold my hand and like help me step by step of the day. Cause like I had told you, like I had gotten to a place where I felt like I couldn't even like brush my teeth without Xanax. So
Yeah.
I felt like I was literally retraining myself to do like basic tasks, like doing the dishes sober was hard. Like
Yeah.
cleaning a floor was hard. Like if I had to clean up in my room, like to tidy it up, like it just felt like basic. And this, I mean, for a long time, it felt like basic tasks were just like way more difficult than they should be. So when I got in the recovery house, it ended up being the best thing that like could have happened to me because I was with like 10 or 12 other women every day. Like I said, we were going to meetings, working on ourselves. And I feel like we were all kind of coming back to life and laughing
Yeah.
again and like kind of remembering what it was like to socialize and all this stuff before drinking. And I think the meetings, going to the Narcotics Anonymous meetings really helped me because that was
Mhm.
like the first time I had really found hope, like listening to other people's stories, because I just felt so like alone when I was in addiction because I didn't know anyone who was struggling like I was. And so finally, like hearing these stories of hope in real life and like meeting these people who had gotten sober and were doing so good was really hopeful for me to hear because I felt just so hopeless at that point. Like I didn't see any way out of it. And one of the hardest parts, I think, when I was getting sober was kind of coming to terms with stuff I had done in addiction where like I was like, oh my gosh, like I crossed these lines I never thought I would. I remember just like being on the floor, like sobbing with just like guilt and shame. And it was really hard, like to come to terms with all of that and be
Mhm.
sober. But, that recovery house like saved my life. And I'm like forever grateful for that.
So we know this, the opposite of addiction, they say, is connection. So like being in a space where it's not even just, yes, routine is important, structure is important, but like connection, hearing your story and other people's stories, like that can be life changing. You don't feel so alone. You don't feel so isolated because you've connected with other people who have experienced something similar. And I think that is the power of recovery spaces. That is the power of speaking and telling your stories, whether it's in a, a private setting or with a small group or like having a podcast and talking about it to the masses or with your platform where you share your story. I think that is truly like something that can save someone's life because if you feel hopeless, like you said, you finally found hope. And I think it is, one can argue, yes, you can survive without hope in life, but that's not really living, right? Like if you are just constantly like, this is my life, I can't function, I can't be better than how I am right now. Like there is no tomorrow without me needing my medicine or self-medicating because we all self-medicate in certain ways or have probably. Once you see that like other people have overcome that, it can inspire you and it can show others that there is hope and it really can change your life and save your life in many ways. So I'm so very grateful to hear that you had that experience and those connections and we're able to finally have hope again. I would love to know from you because anxiety, it sounds like it's controlled a lot of your life. I will frame it that way. So what was that like finally being in a space where like, yes, you're building rapport, you're finding connection, you're finally seeing hope on the other side. But like, what was that experience like in terms of your anxiety during this time? Because you weren't, using Xanax and you didn't have other substances to cope. So how did you manage to kind of shift into I'm sober and my anxiety is still here, but like I am greater or I can overcome my anxiety?
So I think like in the beginning, I was really like on that pink cloud, like, and so that
Hmm.
kind of overtook the anxiety. Like I think I was when I first got sober, like the first 6 months, I just worked part time. I didn't go back to corporate.
Hmm.
Like I was just very like in kind of a bubble still, like
Yeah.
still just like going to my meetings, only hanging out with my sober people, really back into work fully. And so it was kind of just like this really happy time. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't, the anxiety wasn't there as much. Now it's kind of, well, this year has, so I'm about to be 4 years sober, and this year has definitely been like the hardest year of my life with my
Mm.
anxiety. Like it is back to like exactly how it was like the moment I became addicted to Xanax, like going through the exact same things. And so that's been really, really hard to deal with sober. I realized like in sobriety, I was still avoiding. Like at first, I was avoiding by using Xanax and alcohol, but now I've been avoiding basically anything that gives me anxiety. Like I've really shut off so many things. And now that I'm kind of faced with some of these things again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I once again did not heal. I've just been avoiding. And so
Yes.
it's kind of hard. It's been hard to navigate, especially I think having a platform because I'm like, I want to give this inspiring message that I've been providing, but then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm at 4 years sober and I'm really mentally struggling. Like I don't want to drink, I don't want to take Xanax to go through it, but I I'm going through this like mental struggle where I'm like, I have just been avoiding this whole time. I have not
Mm.
healed. And so it's been like a huge wake up call. Like, I think it's almost a blessing because I didn't realize how much of this anxiety I was still struggling with. But it's been kind of a blessing in disguise because it's really made me have to like lean on my faith in this because like I don't have alcohol or Xanax. Like I constantly have to be present with these thoughts. And so it's just made my relationship with God so much stronger. I've just been leaning on scripture, like on my knees, praying, crying, memorizing scripture. I'm doing EMDR therapy now.
What's EMDR?
So it's where you, I don't even know how to explain it. So you follow this dot with your
Okay.
eye.
Okay.
So it's rapid eye movement
Oh yeah.
reprocessing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so basically, like for any memories you have that are causing this anxiety, you relive them like while you're following
Um,
in it. So it's like when you're in fight or flight, one side of your brain basically shuts off. And so
and the other one fires
it
up.
only remembers your point of view of these memories. But when you do an EMDR, it's like a bilateral stimulation. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at this. I'm just
No, it's okay. I've never heard of it, but I feel like I understand what you're saying.
you follow the dot and it's like repetitive of rapid eye movement and it
Okay.
you're reprocessing the memory and it somehow opens up that side of your brain that was shut off. And so you can see all these different parts of the memory that you had closed off. And so it's really
Oh.
wild. Like we started one memory back in November and we just finished it. So it was a level 10 anxiety at the beginning and we got it down to like a 0. And it's crazy because like when you're doing it, like all these things you forgot like come back that you didn't think of. And basically the therapist helps you reframe it in a positive way. So like for me, we've been saying like, okay, well, if you didn't have this like PTSD, you probably never would have picked up Xanax the way you did. Then you never would have gotten sober from alcohol. Then you would never have found sobriety and like
I love
and
that.
then all the things where like in your head are so negative from the experience, it really helps you try to see like the reality of it. Like, did this really happen this way? Well, what did you think about it this way? It doesn't make you forget the memory, but it helps you reprocess it. So that when you're having the current PTSD response in real life, it's not like linking you back to that
Okay.
in the way it is. And basically there's like a bunch of other little memories that are all linked to it that we have to do. So it's a lot of work. I'm doing it twice a week right now, but it's been good. It's like I'm finally at 4 years sober almost. I'm finally like really doing the work because in early sobriety, I also have OCD. I'm like, I have all these things.
Oh, I have a whole host of
So
things
I
in
have
my.
OCD. And so alcohol really helped with numb that too, because it would numb out any intrusive thoughts I had. And so in
Mhm.
my first years of recovery, I did do therapy for that and I did heal that a lot. But now it's focusing on like I'm finally like getting to the root of okay, what caused me to pick up Xanax and alcohol in the extreme way I did. And now like we're finally healing it. So it's like been hard because it's a process. Like I said, I started in November and we've only like scratched the surface. But I'm just so grateful because like when I was taking that Xanax and drinking all that alcohol to try to like deal with all of this, I really had in my head, like, I'm solving this, like, I'm free of anxiety now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just delayed healing for like years from doing that because I wasn't solving anything. I was just avoiding it,
Mhm.
numbing out. And now I'm like, I'm actually like healing, like I'm doing the work. Like I know this is really hard, but I know I'm gonna get through it. I know I can do it sober. And I think when like hard things come in sobriety, it is like such a good reminder to yourself like, wow, like I am so strong, this is so hard, this is something I used to reach for alcohol or Xanax for, and now I'm just sitting in it. Like last week I literally had anxiety for like, I mean I still kind of have it, but it was like 3 days straight of like so sick to my stomach, couldn't eat, so just so anxious that I was literally like shaking. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I can't believe I'm able to just sit in this now and
Yeah.
say, this
Yeah.
freaking sucks, but we're gonna let our body heal. I literally was like hugging myself and I'm like, you're safe, like you're gonna be okay. Praying. And there's so many better tools I have now that I realize are like so much more beneficial, like actually feeling it and sitting through it and being like, okay, my body is reacting like this for a reason. I have to get to the reason, feel it, process it, and then I can heal.
Release it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, this like sucks, but it's like, it's so much better than numbing it.
I love that. You sharing that even in your sobriety, you still struggle with your anxiety and just life, right? Like life is hard, but yet you're overcoming, and like it's a testament to how strong we are, because when you do hard things like get sober, it shows you that you're capable of doing other hard things.
Mhm.
I think so often, and I do this all the time as well with my platform, like I want to show people how amazing sobriety is, because compared to what my life looked like before, this is like but it's not all rainbows and butterflies, quite frankly. Like there are hard days. And I think it's hard to sometimes balance, like how much do I
Yeah.
divulge as I'm still working through it, right? Because I don't have all the answers, versus how much am I showing like just the positive, because I'm a positive person and I want to inspire people. But like I think that's the thing. It doesn't need to be one thing or the other. It's very much, this is who I am as a being. I'm a flawed human. That's how God made me. And I'm going to lean into facets of all of me, like the multi dimensions that exist within me, because I'm not a perfect person. I will never be a perfect person. And I think it's just a great reminder for folks at home who are sober or who are thinking about getting sober. Like sobriety does not fix everything. Like it's a great start. It's a great start. And to your point, like I didn't even realize, Kristen, until you were sharing, like the avoidant piece. Like I also think I'm avoiding a lot of, no, I'm so serious. Like I recognize as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, I'm still in therapy. I got sober in therapy thanks to my therapist, or thanks to myself and to God, and to like all of the people that came around and really supported me. But ultimately, I still deflect, and I think defer uncomfortable feelings. Like for me, it's like I'm a workaholic, so I pour in, I distract myself from myself. And I needed to hear that, as the point I'm making. I think I needed to hear that because it can be a slippery slope, and I don't ever want to drink again. I don't ever want to use again. I don't think, God willing, I ever will, but I do have to take it day by day. I'm 3.5 years sober. Like I say, like, oh, in early sobriety, but in the grand scheme of my life, like hopefully I have a lot more years to live. I am still in early sobriety if I think about it, right? Like every day is not guaranteed, and every day I have to put in the work, and I will never put it past myself that like I'm capable of relapsing or regressing back to old habits, because that's who I am. I know who I am. And I think having that self-awareness and that clarity in sobriety has really shown me that like I am capable of overcoming, but every day I have to make the choice,
Yes.
right? Like every day I have to show up and do the work, even when it's hard, and some days are harder than others. So I just want to thank you so much, truly, Kristen, for saying that, because I think when you have a platform, or when you have like followers and people who are just like, oh my God, you're so amazing and you're so inspirational, I love everything you do and posting, that's great. But at the same time, it's like I'm actually struggling. Like, I'm actually like not okay right now, but it's okay because I know I will be okay. I know that I'm going to continue to put in that work. And so I just want to thank you because I think sometimes it can be really overwhelming and the pressure that we put on ourselves to be like a beacon of hope for others. Yes, you can be that, but also like I think you are a beacon of hope when you say truths like that, which is like my anxiety is at its worst right now and I'm working through it.
Yeah.
But
I
you
think
do.
that's what people want to hear. Like when I shared that last week and like people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, like thank you for your honesty. I'm going through the same." And I think that's what like we all need to remember. Like, yeah, it's great to put out the super motivating stuff and like but I think like you said, like realizing just because I'm like 4 years sober doesn't mean that like we're superhuman or anything.
Yeah.
Like
You don't have all the
it
answers.
like it still can be like really hard. And I think that's like I think that is the side people want to see because they're probably going through the same thing and they're like, well, how is it so easy for her? And it's like it's really not like it's so much better than not drinking, but it's like there are still definitely really, really hard days. And like you said, even when you're sober, you can still fall into these patterns of things that like are avoidance or are behave like obviously not the same behaviors you used to do when drinking, but they're like the same patterns of, and so just being mindful and being alert and paying attention to that, I think really is important.
I agree. I respect that so much. Sobriety is not just all glowy skin. It involves a lot of deep healing and work. And I, once again, just want to commend you for sharing like the hard parts because that's real. Like anxiety, OCD, PTSD, panic, like those are visceral feelings, and not being able to self medicate or finding ways to self soothe and work through those with healthier coping mechanisms is the hard part. So I just want to congratulate you for doing that work and sharing that with your audience. Just to wind down a bit, do you mind if we play a little game?
Yeah, I'd love to.
It's yeah, hard shift of conversation. No, I've truly learned so much from you, and I am introducing a new segment. So let's play sober, spicy, or scandalous. Um, so I'm going to ask you a question,
Okay.
Kristen, and you get to choose if you want to answer it sober, which is like wholesome,
Okay.
spicy, which is bold, or scandalous, which is okay, you give us the tea.
Okay.
All right. So my first question for you is what is one weird habit that you picked up in sobriety?
Hmm. I
Lots of
drink
fingers
way
when I
too
say.
much caffeine.
Oh my god, I am like I always drink too much caffeine, but like yes,
It's so
yes,
bad. I think because I got sober, like, in a recovery house, so I didn't use mocktails or anything. I was, like, straight to
mhm.
the energy drinks. I've finally been, like, a year without energy drinks, and I'm just on coffee, but definitely a bad habit.
Yeah, I went through a little Red Bull phase, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't
I
do
know.
this."
I'm acting like I'm, like, I'm in
I'm wired. Like, I was, like, literally, like, bouncing off the walls, like, yeah, not sustainable, don't recommend it, put the Red Bull back, it does not give you wings. So, okay, thank you for answering that. Okay, what is one of the biggest misconceptions about being sober? You can answer wholesome, bold, or scandalous.
I think it's definitely that people are like, your life is going to be so boring if you don't drink. But really, it's like, no, like you like level up in a way like that you never could when you're drinking. Even if you're drinking like just a few times a week, like when you give up alcohol, my finances like doubled. I got a better job. Like I got into like real estate. I got in the relationship that like finally was someone who respected me. Like literally people think of it as this negative thing and it's really like no, like if you want to win at life, like literally get sober and every area of your life will improve, like your sleep, your health, you'll like you'll be in like
Your physical
like,
appearance,
it's
you're the way
everything.
internally.
Literally
Yeah,
everything, like and I don't think anyone really believes that. That's why I do think it's good that people can see visibly, like, on us the
yeah.
changes, like, they know what we looked like before and all of that, and so I think just people think it's just, like, this boring, like, punishment, and it's really not, like, it's really this powerful, like, just power move, I feel like.
I always tell people whether you have a problem with alcohol or
Yeah.
substances or not, if you wanna optimize your life, quit
Yeah.
drinking, quit
Even
using,
if
whatever,
you're drinking
because
just one day, you're
yeah,
like, "Oh, I'm spending Saturday with a hangover."
hungover.
Okay, like, you could literally now be having, like, a whole side business you're doing on Saturday because you're not hungover. Like, it really makes
Exactly.
such a difference.
I was just talking about this with a girlfriend the other day, like, I didn't have real hobbies before I got sober, like, I recognize that about myself.
Mm,
It's embarrassing to admit, but, like, my hobby was
me too.
drinking. I freed up a lot of time when I got sober, like, to be honest, I was like, "Oh, I have all this free
Yeah.
time," to your point, when I'm not hungover in bed and chasing my next high, like, what to do with this time? And so, yeah, you invest in yourself and you become a better version of self. So I am totally, totally with you there. Okay, my final question for you is, what is something sober Kristen does that drunk Kristen never would?
Hmm. I was really mean when I drank. Like, I would be so mean to
Guilty.
people, and I am not a mean person. Like, anybody you ask would say that I am, like, super kind, but then people who knew me when I was drinking probably think I am, like, the meanest person ever, and I still have a lot of guilt over that actually, because I would be, like, just, like, nasty.
Release it. Release that guilt, girl. That was many moons ago. Like, get over it. I used to hate I was the same way. Like, I had 2 levels. Like, I was either, like, super wild,
Yeah.
crazy, standing on top of the bar, like, shaking my boot, like, doing all the
All
things, like
happy, like
right. To your point, like, Pink Friday, rapping the
mhm.
Nicki Minaj lyrics, like, I was that girl, or hard or I was destroying bathrooms, smashing windows, cursing someone out. Like, I was that girl too. So, like, there was no, like, in between for the most part.
Same.
So, I relate to that. And I used to hate when people would recite that mantra, like, oh, super, like, drunk words or super thoughts. I would be like, oh, like, never say that to me because I don't know where that person came from. Like, I don't know why I would attack people
I think
or, like, go off
pain,
on
like,
people.
I think
The
I was
pain.
in so much pain, and so I was just like you, it would, like, start out as, like, this happy fun, and then it went,
Yeah.
like, crying, mad,
Yes.
mean, like and I think it was we had that pain inside, and so when we would drink, it
Yeah.
would come out, and so I'm like, yeah, when we're drinking, that's not who we are. It's literally, like, the alcohol, like, it's like it brings the pain out of you or something, and yeah,
Yeah.
it turned me mean, so I hate
It's really mean too, and I would be so, like, to your point, like, ashamed the next day, like, having to go into apology mode and, like, or cringing, like, "Oh my god, what did I really say that? Like, did I say that to you? Like, I don't mean that." And then, like, having to, like, convince someone that you love or care about, like, "I don't feel that way. I promise you, I love you. I don't care." I don't know why I said that. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's repressed feelings that we have,
Mhm.
like hurt and pain. And I hate to be like, hurt people, but like, yeah, I think something else that I have gathered from listening to parts of your story today too, Kristen, is like, I think I relate to this. Like, we cared very much about how we were perceived from the outside, like appearances. Like, I've always been that girl too. Like, on the outside, everything looked put together for the most part until, of course, things fell apart.
Yeah.
But I, I played, I played a good game for quite a while, and even some people that found out I quit drinking and got sober were like, "Oh, like, I always knew you like to have a good time, but I didn't know it was that bad. I never thought that you should have quit." But it's because I masked a lot and pretended a lot. So, just to go back, I felt very much like also I don't have OCD, but like control is another thing for me. So like I felt like drinking was allowing me to like lower my inhibition and lose myself and kind of exhale, to be honest with you. And that's something that I really struggled with in my day-to-day life. So yeah, it would just always go too far. Like I
Yeah.
never was able to moderate properly. Never wanted to be honest with you. And the line, the mark keeps being pushed further and further back. Your tolerance grows, and next thing you know,
Mhm.
yeah, you're in it. You're in it, in the throes.
But
So
I also think, well, I think what you're saying is so important too, how we both kind of wanted to appear this certain way. And I
mhm.
think that's so important. Like when you're around people in everyday life, like you never know who it is. Like I remember
Thank you.
one night I was on so much Xanax and I literally was at a church function, like, and I was posting about it that I was wrapping these Valentine's days for kids. And I was literally like on so much Xanax. And it's like,
Yeah,
nobody is going to expect that. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, really just be kind because like you don't
kind, be
know,
kind.
like addiction can happen to literally anybody at any time.
And I think that is the great equalizer. Like, that's why I talk very openly about my struggles,
Yeah.
not just on the podcast, not just on social, like in my day to day life. And I cannot tell you, like, more often than not, if I mention the fact that I'm an alcoholic, I'm in recovery, people, their eyes light up. They're like, "Oh my god, me too," or my best friend or my aunt, my sister, my mom, my like everyone knows someone is the point I'm trying to make. Whether you can look at them to your point and see like, oh, like, this is the stereotype of the archetype of the person that is an addict or an alcoholic. Like that person more often is not what you think
Yeah.
of or what you should think of. You should not conjure up images of like a brown paper
Yeah.
bag and someone on the side of the street. You should conjure up an image of someone who looks like me and someone that looks like you, because these are the people that are struggling out
Yeah.
here, when I tell you broken, and feeling like they have to put on this persona or give off this aura of I have my life together, when in truth you don't know what people are going through. And so I love that you ended on that note. Be kind. Just be kind. And like I am not going to tell people what to do in terms of their comfort level
Mhm.
speaking about subject matter like this, but I will forever use my voice to talk about it, because I find that most people, if not everyone that I talk about it with, has connected in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
So thank you, Kristen, so much for coming on the show today. I want to just kind of open up the platform. Actually, before I open up the platform, let me back up. If anyone is struggling right now with addiction, whether that be alcohol, Xanax, anything, what is one thing that you would want them to know, Kristen?
I would say this was repeated to me over and over in the recovery house, and it really stuck with me. And they kept saying to me, don't give up before your miracle. And so it's like, even if like today feels so hard and you feel like you can never get over this, you can never sit through whatever you're going through without alcohol, like it really is possible. And the more sobriety you build up, like the more you will see that miracle they're talking about. It really is there. But if you give up or you don't even start, like you're not going to get to that miracle. And trust me, when people would say that to me, I was like, this is BS. Like, I don't believe any of it. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, they were right. Literally everything they told me would happen happened, but you have to first just start or try, or you're not going to see that miracle.
I love that. Don't give up before your
Mhm.
miracle. I've never heard that one, but that speaks volumes. Yeah. It's like you won't know until you know, and if you give up before you even start, then you're never gonna experience
Yeah.
that. And I also just think of, like, insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. Like, if you are going through like, you've tried it your way, we've already kind of touched on this, like, if like, you've gotten to this place on your own volition, let's try something
Mhm.
different, and don't stop until you experience that miracle. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much, Kristen, for coming on the show today. I want to just open up the platform, and for anyone who's sober curious, where can people find and connect with you?
So they can find me on Instagram at it's Kristen L McAvoy, MCAVOY.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for coming on the show. I've learned so much. You are amazing. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for having me. It was so much fun.